Welcome back to Keep It Real Boxing. This is Cypher Box, and the next fight I want to review, just did Mayweather versus McGregor. The next fight I want to review is Gervonta Davis versus Fonseca. Now, to be fair, I'm not really going to review the fight as such. I'm really going to probably talk about Gervonta Davis and his attitude on Saturday night. Now, I was really excited to know that he was on the undercard. I think he's a young up-and-coming fighter, a lot of talent, a lot of potential. We all know that, and I've enjoyed watching him so far in the start of his career. However, Saturday night, was, I have to admit, really poor from Gervonta Davis and disappointing, I have to say. I don't know all the ins and outs, what's going on with him at the moment. We all know he missed weight, was 2 pounds over, was stripped of his IBF title. I know he was obviously frustrated and annoyed by that, but the only person you can get frustrated and annoyed at is yourself, in my opinion. And I did talk about this when I found out. I did make a video about him not making weight, and he has to look at himself in the mirror for that, in my opinion. He has to look at himself in the mirror for that. He's let himself down, and if there's anyone to be angry at, he needs to be angry at himself that he's shown a lack of discipline and lost his title because he couldn't be bothered to make weight. Let's just put it that way. I will talk a little bit more about him, in terms of him and his attitude as the video goes on. In terms of the fight, I think it was a real sloppy display by Davis. It really was. He was lacking in focus. Kept looking for that. Let's start from the beginning actually, because even before the instructions were given by the referee, I felt he was agitated and annoyed in his corner. They forgot to bring the gum shield into the ring or something like that, and he just showed a lot of attitude in his corner. You could tell he was frustrated and angered by little things like that. And in my personal opinion, in my personal opinion, when I watched this fight, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I had the fight pretty even, or I remember I had it 1 point ahead to Fonseca, and I'm going to explain why. Showtime had it a shutout. Sky Sports even had it leading into a shutout. I don't agree. I think it was really biased at the way they were looking at the fight, in my opinion. And the reason why I gave Fonseca 3 or 4 rounds, I think it was, and the reason why is because of Davis's arrogance and cockiness in the ring. Yeah, there were rounds where he was like going low and doing all this sort of stuff and being all arrogant and cocky and showboating. Got nothing wrong with showboating and showing off in a ring. It adds to the entertainment of the fight. But what he was doing was borderline disrespectful. And end of the day, what happened when in those situations, Fonseca would take advantage of him. So in some of those rounds, I think it was 3, 4, and 5 I gave to Fonseca, or maybe 4, 5, and 6, I can't remember. But I remember seeing Gervonta Davis trying to look for that one-punch knockout, and then Fonseca, when he was doing the showboating, Fonseca's like, well, you put on this show, and while you do that, I'm going to go to work. And he was landing 2 1-2s and 3-4s to Davis's face, pushing him up against the rope, letting off shots and hitting him in the body, etc. Which was really good from Fonseca. He thought, well, this is my chance. This guy's better than me. I know he is, but these are my opportunities to take advantage of that situation and win some rounds. And that's exactly what he did. In my opinion, it wasn't a shutout, and it wasn't because Fonseca was better than Davis. He just took the opportunities that Davis gave him, in my opinion. And Davis, he was looking for that one-punch knockout. He was missing punches, etc., and stuff like that. So, and he was spending more time being this cocky little kid in the ring, rather than just focusing on the job and getting the job done. He was clearly distracted. He's clearly lacking in focus. He was angry. You could see it. He was fighting on emotion, and it was a poor display from him. I was really disappointed because I was really excited to see him fight again, and he just let us all down, in my opinion. You know, he had a real attitude, and he deserved the boos he got at the end of the fight, in my opinion. He really did. As for the knockout, in my opinion, it was an illegal shot. You could see it. Yeah, it hit the back of his neck. That knocked Fonseca down. Yeah, there might have been a bit of play acting involved by Fonseca, where he was probably trying to win by DQ. The body shots before that obviously definitely affected Fonseca, and he didn't want it after that anymore. But then when that shot came in, he thought, oh, that's my chance to kind of play act and maybe get this win by DQ. And pick up the title as well at the same time. I don't know whether he would have picked up on a DQ. I'd have to look into that. But you get what I mean? I understand there was an element of play acting there, but it was an illegal shot and actually did knock him down. So, you know, even that, the way he won it, and at the end of the fight, he was asked, you know, now you've seen it, what do you think? Oh yeah, but it was the body shots that actually did the damage, not really that. So I don't think it would have made a difference. He was trying to make excuses for it, you know. And I just think, you know what, this kid, I'm worried about this kid, because I personally think if he doesn't get his act together, and if Floyd Mayweather doesn't put him in check and bring him down a few notches, because I think he's had his head blown up to the point where he thinks he's already a superstar, and he's not. He's nowhere near a superstar. He's nowhere near greatness, achieving any sort of level of greatness in the sport of boxing. He's nowhere near that. He's a good young fighter. Yeah, that is it. And if he's not careful, you all know Adrian Broner, and I can see it going that way with this kid as well. If he's not, you know, if someone doesn't rein him in, because Adrian Broner, when he started out, had a lot of potential. Yeah, he was cocky, he was brash, he had all that stuff going to him, that entertainment value. Whether you loved it or you didn't like it, didn't matter. It was still entertaining, you know. But he got the job done, Adrian Broner, in his you know, when he first started out in the sport as a pro, and you know, we see what Adrian Broner is now. You know, you know, all that talent, all that potential, you know, he's literally flushed it down the toilet. You know, I'm not saying Adrian Broner can't come back. He can, but it depends how he comes back and how he focuses and refocuses himself. Going back to Gervonta Davis, I can see the same thing happening, because he's showing that sign, he's showing that arrogance and that cockiness that, you know, it's one thing to be confident. You don't want to be arrogant, because arrogance leads to complacency. Complacency only leads to failure. And if someone doesn't rein him in quick, you know, I could see him taking a nosedive. You know, he can't afford to have another performance like that or behave like that again. He needs to get in there, get the job done, and that's it. He could do a bit of showboating, that's not a problem, but get the job done. You know what I mean? Against an opponent like Fonseca, he should have outboxed him every single round, but he didn't. He allowed him, he gave him rounds, he gave rounds away, in my opinion. And it was just, you know, it was just annoying to see. It really did anger me a lot, because I just thought, you've got so much talent and you're just being an idiot in the ring, basically. And I'm sorry, like I always say to you guys, I'm just going to tell you it real. I'm going to keep it real with you all the time. Whether I like a fighter or his abilities or not, I am going to keep it real with you guys. And Gervonta Davis is a fighter I like, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to sugarcoat it with him, you know, my opinion with him. Simple as that, you know. And he needs to be reined in. I said it when he didn't make weight in that video, that, you know what, someone needs to check him. You know, and Mayweather needs to check him and say, what the hell was that? He won't say it publicly, obviously, Floyd, but he does need to turn around and say to him, hey mate, you need to straighten yourself out. You ain't a superstar yet. You know, all this money, all this blinging he's doing at the moment, giving him too much too early. He needs to be hungry. And the way to keep a fighter hungry is not by throwing loads of money at him. It's by actually saying, you want that money, you need to work for it. You know what I mean? And then as he grows as a fighter, then he starts seeing the rewards. You know, like Floyd Mayweather did himself. He started off, you know, making very little money at the beginning of his career, and then built to what he is now, because he had that hunger for it. And you've got to keep that hunger in these young fighters. And, you know, Gervonta Davis, you know, I was just really disappointed by him. I hope he sorts it out before the next fight. Whatever the issues are behind the scene, get it fixed, get it sorted. and get yourself back on track, because I would hate to see another case like Adrian Broner. I like Gervonta Davis. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him if he stays smart and if he stays focused on what he needs to do as a fighter, as a boxer. If he wants to go on and be great like he talks about, he wants to be great, then you know what? You got to show it in the ring every single time you step into the ring. You know, and I think it was just terrible what I saw on Saturday night from Gervonta Davis. And hopefully maybe the promotions will have a word with him and, you know, pull on his collar a little bit and say to him, "Oi, don't ever let that happen again." That's all I really got to say about this one, guys. You know, it wasn't a great fight. I don't even want to go into the depths, ins and outs of it. And like I said, I did score for rounds to Fonseca. I did actually give him 2 or 3, I think 3 or 4 rounds maybe, actually. Simply because Gervonta Davis just gave away those rounds because of his stupidity in the ring, in my opinion, and his naivety and that arrogance he was showing. Alright, end of the day, that's all I've got to say about that one. Until the next video, this is Cypherbox reminding you to keep it real.